Welcome, friend. Tonight we will walk a quiet path together where the world softens and stillness waits. You need not do anything but rest here, breathing slowly, allowing the weight of the day to fall away. The evening has arrived, and with it comes permission to simply be. Close your eyes if you wish. Feel the surface beneath you holding your body with effortless care. Notice how the breath moves in and out, asking nothing of you, expecting nothing in return. This moment is yours alone, a sanctuary from thought, a refuge from doing. Somewhere in the distance, rain begins to fall, gentle and unhurried, tapping softly against stone and leaf. The sound is ancient and familiar, a rhythm older than memory, older than worry. It reminds us that life continues in its own way, regardless of our plans or fears. The rain does not ask permission to fall. It simply arrives, nourishes, and passes on. In the same way, this night has come to nourish you, to wash away what no longer serves. Imagine, if you will, a small temple tucked into the hillside, surrounded by cedar trees and moss. Inside, a single candle flickers on a wooden altar, casting soft shadows across the floor. The air smells faintly of incense, something earthy and warm, like sandalwood or aged paper. This place has stood for centuries, weathering storms and seasons, holding space for those who seek rest. Tonight, it holds space for you. You are safe here. You are welcome here. The teachings we will explore tonight are not complicated or distant. They are simple, human, and true. They speak to the part of you that already knows peace exists, not somewhere far away, but within. That peace is not something you must create or earn. It is what remains when you stop struggling, when you let the mind soften and the heart open. These stories have been told for thousands of years, passed quietly from teacher to student, whispered in temple halls and garden courtyards. They are gifts of stillness, offered without demand. Breathe in slowly, filling your lungs with cool, clean air. Breathe out, releasing whatever tension lives in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. There is nowhere you need to go. Nothing you need to fix. This moment is complete exactly as it is, and in this completeness we begin. Long ago, in a monastery nestled deep in the mountains, there lived a young monk named Kenji. He was devoted and sincere, rising before dawn each day to sweep the temple floors and tend the garden. Kenji wanted desperately to understand enlightenment, to grasp the great truth that his teacher spoke of so calmly. But no matter how hard he tried, no matter how many hours he sat in meditation, the truth seemed to slip away like water through his fingers. He grew frustrated, tightening his grip on each thought, each practice, each fleeting moment of clarity. One morning, the old master found Kenji sitting rigid on his cushion, face tense with effort. The master said nothing at first. He simply sat down beside him and began to pour tea. The master filled Kenji's cup until it overflowed, spilling onto the wooden floor. Kenji watched in confusion, then finally spoke. "Teacher, the cup is full. It can hold no more." The master smiled and set down the teapot. "Like this cup, you are so full of trying that nothing new can enter. Empty yourself first." Kenji sat with those words for days. He did not understand them with his mind, but something in his chest began to soften. He stopped forcing his breath to be perfect. He stopped analyzing each sensation during meditation. He allowed thoughts to come and go like clouds drifting across the open sky, and in that allowing, something shifted. The truth he had been chasing revealed itself the moment he stopped pursuing it. True peace is not found in control, but in surrender. It arrives when we release our grip on outcomes, on identity, on the need to know. This is the first teaching. The rain continues outside, steady and patient. The candle flickers, and you, lying here in the darkness, are beginning to understand. Where in your life do you hold on too tightly? Perhaps it is a worry about tomorrow, a regret about yesterday, or a longing for something to be different than it is. Notice how that holding feels in your body. Does it tighten your chest? Does it clench your stomach? Now, gently, without judgment, imagine loosening that grip. Imagine setting it down, just for tonight. You can pick it up again tomorrow if you wish, but here, in this quiet hour, let it rest. The breath knows how to move without your help. Your heart knows how to beat. The night knows how to hold you. Trust this. Trust the process of letting go. Each exhale is a small death, a release of what was. Each inhale is a small birth, a welcoming of what is. This rhythm has sustained you since your first breath. It will sustain you still. There was once a famous calligrapher in ancient China, a man known throughout the provinces for his elegant brushwork. His scrolls were treasured by emperors and poets alike, each character flowing with perfect grace. But as the years passed, the calligrapher began to lose his sight. The world grew dim, then grey, then dark. He could no longer see the ink on the paper, could no longer judge the balance of his strokes. He believed his art was finished. He believed his purpose had vanished with his vision. One evening, a young student came to him and asked for a lesson. The calligrapher refused, saying he had nothing left to offer. But the student persisted, returning night after night, sitting quietly outside the calligrapher's door. Finally, in frustration, the old man agreed. He sat before a blank scroll, dipped his brush in ink, and let his hand move across the paper without seeing. He painted from memory, from feeling, from the deep place within that had always guided him. When he finished, the student gasped, "Master, this is your finest work." The characters seemed to breathe on the page, alive in a way his earlier, more controlled work had never been. The calligrapher ran his fingers over the textured strokes, feeling their shape. He realized then that his blindness had not taken away his art. It had freed him from the need to see. It had allowed him to create from pure presence, without the interference of judgment or comparison. What we lose in one way, we gain in another. The things we fear will destroy us often become the doorways to deeper truth. This is not to romanticize suffering, but to honor the strange alchemy of being human. The calligrapher's blindness stripped away his attachment to perfection and left him with something far more precious: authenticity. He learned to trust what he could not see. He learned to move in darkness with confidence. You too are learning this. In this darkness, with your eyes closed, you are discovering that you do not need to see everything clearly to move forward. You do not need to have all the answers to rest. The body knows how to heal itself while you sleep. The mind knows how to sort and settle. All you must do is allow it. The rain has slowed now to a gentle mist. The sound softens into near silence, a whisper against the temple roof. In this quiet, we turn inward. The breath deepens, the heart slows, and somewhere beneath the layers of thought, beneath the noise of the day, a stillness begins to emerge. This stillness is not empty or cold. It is full and alive, the ground from which all things arise. Another story comes to mind, one told in many forms across many centuries. In a village by the sea, there lived a fisherman who worked from dawn until dusk. He was skilled and hard-working, and his nets were always full. But he was never satisfied. He worried constantly about the tides, the weather, the price of fish at market. He lay awake at night planning, calculating, trying to control every variable. His wife watched him grow thin and grey with worry. One day, a great storm rolled in from the ocean, fierce and sudden. The fisherman rushed to secure his boat, but the waves were too strong. They pulled the boat from its moorings and smashed it against the rocks. Everything he had worked for was destroyed. He sat on the shore, head in his hands, certain he was ruined. His wife sat beside him and said nothing for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "The boat is gone. The nets are torn. But you are still here, and the ocean is still the ocean." The fisherman did not understand at first, but as the days passed, something unexpected happened. Without his boat, he could not fish. Without fishing, he had time. He walked along the shore with his wife. He watched the sunrise without hurrying. He listened to the gulls and felt the wind on his face. He realized that for years he had been so consumed with survival that he had forgotten to live. The storm had taken his livelihood, but it had returned something far more valuable, his presence. Eventually, with the help of neighbours, he built a new boat, but he never returned to his old ways. He fished enough to eat, enough to trade, and no more. The rest of his time he spent in gratitude. He had learned that security is an illusion. The only thing we truly have is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. Everything else is borrowed from the future or held over from the past. This teaching asks us to examine our own storms. What have we lost that we still grieve? What have we gained in the losing? The mind resists this inquiry, wanting to label loss as only loss and gain as only gain. But life is not so simple. The fisherman's storm was both destruction and liberation. It shattered his old life and made space for a new one, rooted not in fear but in presence. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into rest. Notice how gravity does all the work, pulling you gently downward, effortless and sure. You do not have to hold yourself up. You do not have to carry the day into this night. Release it. Let it drift away like smoke dissolving into air. The floor, the bed, the earth beneath you, they will hold you. They always have. If these teachings bring you peace, you are welcome to return here whenever you wish to rest. This space is always open, always waiting, a sanctuary in the noise. You are part of a quiet community of seekers, all of us walking the same pathways towards stillness. Subscribe if you feel called, but know that the peace we speak of is not found in following or subscribing. It is found in stopping, in listening, in allowing the world to simply be. We continue now, moving slower still. The night deepens, the candle burns lower, and we enter the longest part of our journey together, where words become fewer and silence stretches between them like vast open fields. There is a story I love, one that has stayed with me through many years. It takes place in a monastery renowned for its discipline and devotion. The monks there followed a strict schedule: meditation at dawn, work in the garden, study in the afternoon, more meditation at dusk. Everything was ordered, intentional, purposeful. At the centre of the meditation hall sat an old cat, a lazy creature who slept through every session. The master allowed the cat to stay, seeing no harm in its presence. Years passed. The master grew old and eventually passed away, leaving the monastery to his senior student. This new master maintained every ritual exactly as his teacher had done, including allowing the cat to sleep in the meditation hall. When that master died, the next generation continued the tradition. The cat became part of the practice itself. Eventually, the original cat died, and the monks acquired another cat to take its place. They believed the cat was essential to proper meditation. Centuries later, scholars wrote elaborate treatises on the spiritual significance of the cat in meditation. They debated its symbolic meaning, its connection to enlightenment, its role in calming the mind. Entire schools of thought developed around this practice, but none of them remembered that the first cat had simply wandered in one day and refused to leave. There was no deep meaning. There was no sacred purpose. It was just a cat. This story is funny and sad and deeply human. We do this constantly, building monuments of meaning around accidents of circumstance. We turn preferences into dogma, habits into laws, and then we suffer trying to uphold them. We forget to ask why we are doing what we are doing. We forget that most of our beliefs were inherited, not chosen. They are cultural, conditional, and often arbitrary. The invitation here is not to abandon all structure or meaning. Structure can be beautiful, ritual can be grounding, but we must hold them lightly, remembering they are tools, not truths. The meditation hall does not need a cat. You do not need to follow someone else's path to find your own peace. The freedom is terrifying and exhilarating. It means you are responsible for your own awakening. No guru, no scripture, no tradition can do it for you. Breathe into this realization. Feel how it lands in your body. Perhaps there is relief in knowing you do not have to perform someone else's version of spirituality. Perhaps there is fear in knowing you must discover your own. Both are welcome here. Both are part of the journey. The rain has returned, heavier now, a steady drumming that fills the silence. It is a sound that asks nothing of you, a presence without agenda. Let it wash through your awareness, rinsing away the need to understand everything, to categorize everything, to make sense of everything. Some things simply are. The rain falls, the night passes, the heart continues its ancient rhythm. In another monastery far to the north, there lived a young nun named Suki. She was brilliant and intense, asking questions that left her teachers speechless. She studied every sutra, debated every koan, sat in meditation until her legs went numb. But enlightenment eluded her. She became convinced that she was unworthy, that some fundamental flaw within her prevented her from reaching the truth. She grew bitter and exhausted. One winter morning, Suki was assigned to care for an elderly nun who was bedridden and dying. Suki resented the task, seeing it as a distraction from her real work of seeking enlightenment. But she had no choice, so she went. She bathed the old woman, fed her, changed her bedding. The old nun said very little, but her eyes were clear and kind. Days turned into weeks. Suki found herself moving more slowly in the old nun's presence, speaking more softly. She stopped rushing through her duties and began to notice small things. The way morning light fell across the floor, the sound of the old nun's breathing, the texture of the blanket beneath her hands. One afternoon, as Suki was brushing the old nun's hair, the woman reached up and touched her cheek. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have been so kind." In that moment, something broke open in Suki. She had been searching for enlightenment in books and meditation halls, but it had been here all along, in this simple act of care. The truth was not hidden in some distant realm. It was in the touch of skin on skin, in the patience of repetition, in the quiet offering of presence to another. She began to weep, not from sadness, but from recognition. She had been looking so far outward that she had missed what was right in front of her. Compassion is not a spiritual concept to be understood. It is a practice to be lived moment by moment in the small and unglamorous acts of service. It does not require grand gestures or enlightened understanding. It requires only this: showing up, paying attention, offering what you can. The rest takes care of itself. You too have practiced this compassion, though you may not have named it so. Every time you listened to a friend in pain, every time you chose patience over anger, every time you forgave yourself for being human, you were touching the same truth Suki discovered. Enlightenment is not a destination you arrive at. It is the quality of presence you bring to each moment. It is here now, in the way you are resting, in the way you are allowing yourself to be held by this night. The candle flickers and steadies. Outside, the world continues in its rhythms. Animals move through the forest, quiet and deliberate. Trees sway in the wind, shedding leaves that will nourish the soil. Rivers flow toward the sea, unbothered by obstacles, simply following the path of least resistance. Everything in nature understands surrender, everything except us. We are the only creatures who fight against what is, who argue with reality, who believe things should be different than they are. This resistance is the root of our suffering, not the circumstances themselves, but our refusal to accept them. The tree does not lament losing its leaves. The river does not regret its course. They move with life, not against it. What would it feel like to move with your life instead of against it? To accept, for just this moment, that everything is exactly as it needs to be? This does not mean you stop growing or changing. It means you stop fighting the present while trying to get to the future. It means you trust the process, the unfolding, the way things are revealing themselves to you. There is a koan, a riddle used in the Zen practice, that asks, "What is your original face before your parents were born?" It is not a question to be answered with words. It is a question to be felt into, lived into, discovered beneath all the layers of identity and conditioning. Who are you when you strip away your name, your story, your roles, your beliefs? What remains? Sit with this question, not to solve it, but to let it work on you. Feel how it opens space in your mind, how it creates a gap in the constant narrative of self. In that gap, something vast and quiet reveals itself. It has no shape, no definition, no edges. It is simply awareness itself, the witnessing presence, that has been here all along, watching thoughts come and go, watching sensations arise and pass, watching this entire life unfold like a dream. You are not your thoughts. You are the space in which thoughts appear. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness that holds them. This awareness is untouched by experience, unchanged by circumstances. It was here when you were born. It will be here when you die. It is the eternal, unchanging backdrop of all existence. Rest in this awareness now. Let thoughts drift through like clouds across a clear sky. Do not push them away. Do not cling to them. Simply observe. Notice how they arise from nowhere and return to nowhere. Notice how they have no substance, no weight, no permanence. They are just movements in the mind, no more real than shadows on a wall. The breath continues, soft and steady, in and out, an endless tide. Let your attention rest gently on the breath, not controlling it, just witnessing it. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs. Feel the warm air leaving, carrying away what you no longer need. Each breath is a complete cycle, a beginning and an ending, a birth and a death. This is how life moves, in cycles and rhythms, always returning to centre. The seasons turn, the moon waxes and wanes, the tide comes in and goes out. Nothing is permanent, nothing is fixed, and this impermanence is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. It is what allows for growth, for change, for renewal. If everything stayed the same, nothing new could ever emerge. Think of the forest floor in autumn, covered in fallen leaves. Those leaves are dying, yes, but they are also feeding the soil, making way for new growth. Death and life are not opposites. They are partners in the dance of existence. One cannot happen without the other. To resist death is to resist life. To cling to what was is to miss what is. This teaching can feel heavy, or it can feel liberating, depending on how you hold it. If you fear impermanence, it becomes a source of anxiety. But if you embrace it, it becomes a source of freedom. Nothing you lose was ever truly yours. Everything is borrowed, everything is temporary, and in that temporariness is the preciousness of this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. A teacher once told me that every encounter is a first and last meeting. Even with people you see every day, each moment with them is unique and unrepeatable. This version of them, in this light, with this expression, will never exist again. This version of you will never exist again. We are constantly dying and being reborn, shedding old skins, becoming new versions of ourselves. The you who began listening to this story is not the you who is here now. You have already changed. Can you feel that change? Can you sense the softness that has entered your body, the quiet that has settled in your mind? Something has shifted, hasn't it? Not dramatically, but subtly. A small release, a gentle opening. This is the work, this gradual unwinding, this patient return to what is natural and true. The monastery is quiet now, all the monks asleep except one. He sits in the meditation hall, eyes half closed, a faint smile on his lips. He is not waiting for enlightenment. He is not seeking anything. He is simply sitting, breathing, being. And in that simplicity is the whole of the teaching. There is nothing to achieve. There is nowhere to go. Peace is not a state you attain. It is what you are when you stop trying. Outside, the moon has risen, casting silver light through the bamboo grove. The shadows dance across the ground, swaying with the breeze. Each blade of grass is distinct, perfect, exactly where it needs to be. Nothing is out of place, nothing needs fixing. The world hums with quiet rightness. Imagine yourself in that grove, standing beneath the moon. The air is cool on your skin. You can smell the earth, rich and damp. You can hear the rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl. You are part of this landscape, not separate from it. You belong here. You always have. For so long, you have carried the burden of being separate, of being alone, of needing to figure everything out on your own. But you are not separate. You are woven into the fabric of existence, connected to everything that is. The same atoms that make up your body were once part of stars. The water in your cells has flowed through rivers and oceans and rain clouds. You are ancient and ever new, both infinitely small and infinitely vast. Let this knowing settle into your bones. You are not a mistake. You are not broken. You are exactly as you are meant to be, here and now, in this moment. Everything you have experienced, everything you have survived, has led you to this quiet night, this soft voice, this gentle unwinding. Trust that. Trust the path. Even when you cannot see where it leads, the body grows heavier, sinking deeper into rest. Muscles that have been clenched all day begin to soften. The jaw releases, the shoulders drop, the belly unclenches. This is the body remembering its natural state, returning to ease, to grace, to the effortless being that is your birthright. You do not have to earn rest. You do not have to deserve peace. They are yours simply because you exist. There is a final story I want to share, one that feels like a lullaby. It is about a young boy who lived in a village by a great lake. Every evening he would sit by the water and watch the sunset, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. He loved those sunsets more than anything. He would try to hold on to them, to memorize every colour, every cloud, because he knew they would fade. One evening, an old woman sat down beside him. She watched the sunset in silence, a peaceful expression on her face. When the sun had dipped below the horizon and the colours began to fade, the boy sighed. "I wish I could make it stay," he said. The old woman smiled. "If the sun never set, how would you know to appreciate the dawn? If the colours never faded, how would you recognise beauty when it returns?" The boy thought about this. He realised that his sadness was not about the sunset ending. It was about his resistance to the ending. He wanted to control time, to freeze moments, to keep what he loved forever. But that is not how life works. Life is a river, constantly moving. You cannot step in the same water twice. From that evening on, the boy watched the sunsets differently. He did not try to hold on to them. He simply witnessed them, grateful for their brief beauty, trusting that another sunset would come. And in that shift, his sadness transformed into joy. He learned to love the fleeting nature of things, to see impermanence not as loss, but as grace. This is the final teaching, the one that ties all the others together. Let go, not because you do not care, but because you care deeply. Love the moment fully, knowing it will pass. Hold it gently, not tightly. Trust that life will continue to offer you beauty again and again in forms you cannot yet imagine. The night stretches out before you, vast and welcoming. Hours remain for sleep, for dreams, for the quiet repair work the body does in darkness. You need not worry about tomorrow. It will come whether you worry or not. You need not analyse the past. It is already gone. Here, in this eternal now, you are safe. You are whole. You are enough. The candle has burned down to a small pool of wax. Its light is dimmer now, softer, more intimate. Soon it will go out, and the room will be dark. But even in darkness there is no fear. Darkness is just the absence of light, not the presence of something harmful. It is restful, gentle, a blanket pulled over the world. You are not afraid of the dark. You were born in darkness, in the warm enclosed space of the womb. You have returned to that darkness many times, every night of your life, closing your eyes and trusting the body to carry you through. Darkness is not your enemy. It is your oldest friend. Let yourself sink into it now, fully and completely. Let the weight of consciousness lift. Let thoughts dissolve like sugar in water, leaving only sweetness behind. You do not need to think anymore. You do not need to plan or worry or remember. The mind can rest. The body can rest. Everything can rest. Somewhere far away, a bell rings once, a low resonant tone that fades slowly into silence. It marks the passing of an hour, the turning of time, the continuation of the world without your participation. You are not needed right now. The world will take care of itself. The stars will keep shining. The earth will keep turning. And you can simply be without purpose, without effort, without intention. This is the deepest rest, the rest that comes when you stop being useful, when you stop performing, when you stop trying to be anything at all. You are not a person with a name and a story. You are not a body with needs and desires. You are awareness itself, pure and unconditioned, witnessing the great dance of existence with quiet delight. And in this awareness, there is no separation between you and the universe. There is no inside and outside, no self and other. There is only this seamless whole, this indivisible presence. You are the candle flame and the darkness it illuminates. You are the raindrop and the ocean it dissolves into. You are the breath and the space through which it moves. All of the seeking, all of the struggling, all of the questions and doubts and fears, they were just waves on the surface of the ocean. Beneath them, the depths remain still, undisturbed, eternal. You have always been those depths. You have always been home. You just forgot for a while. And that forgetting is part of the journey, part of the game consciousness plays with itself. But now, in this moment, you remember that peace is not something you find. It is what you are when you stop looking. You remember that you are not broken, not lost, not behind. You are exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn, becoming who you are meant to become. The path is not straight. It winds and curves, doubles back on itself, leads through dark valleys and sunlit meadows. Sometimes you walk with others, sometimes you walk alone, but you are always moving, always growing, always becoming more fully yourself, and that is enough. That has always been enough. The stories we have shared tonight are mirrors, reflecting back to you what you already know. The blind calligrapher, the worried fisherman, the searching monk, the grieving nun. They are all aspects of you, parts of your own journey. Their lessons are your lessons. Their peace is your peace. And now, as we approach the end of this long night of stories and silence, I want to remind you of something simple. You are loved, not because of what you do or achieve or accomplish, not because you are good or kind or enlightened. You are loved simply because you are. The universe does not make mistakes. You are here for a reason, even if that reason is not yet clear. Trust the unfolding. Trust the process. Trust the quiet voice within that says, I am safe. I am held. I am home. That voice has been there all along, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the endless chatter of the thinking mind. It is the voice of your true self, the part of you that has never been hurt, never been diminished, never been anything less than whole. Listen to that voice now. Let it fill you with its calm assurance. Let it remind you that you are not your thoughts, not your fears, not your past. You are the awareness that holds all of those things, the space in which they arise and pass away. And that space is vast and infinite and completely at peace. The breath has slowed to a barely perceptible rhythm. The body is so heavy now, so relaxed, It feels almost weightless. You are floating, suspended between waking and sleeping, between knowing and unknowing. This is the threshold, the liminal space where magic happens. Stay here as long as you like. There is no rush. There is nowhere you need to be. The rain has stopped. The night is silent, except for the occasional rustle of leaves, the soft sigh of wind. The world is at rest. And you are part of that rest, part of that silence, part of that deep and abiding stillness. All of the teachings, all of the stories, all of the words, they were just fingers pointing at the moon. The moon was there all along. You did not need the words to find it. But sometimes words help. Sometimes stories help. Sometimes we need a guide to walk beside us until we remember how to walk alone. And now you remember. The path is clear. It has always been clear. It is not complicated or hidden or reserved for the enlightened few. It is here, right here, in the simple act of breathing, of being, of allowing life to move through you without resistance. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to be further along than you are. Right here, right now, in this imperfect, messy, beautiful moment, you are exactly who you need to be. And that is the greatest teaching of all. The candle flickers one last time and goes out. The room is dark. But even in darkness, you are not alone. You are surrounded by presence, by love, by the infinite awareness that holds all things. You are safe. You are home. You have always been home. Rest now, deeply and completely. Let go of everything. Let the night carry you into dreams, into healing, into the great mystery of sleep. The world will be here when you wake. The sun will rise. Life will continue, and you will continue with it, a little softer, a little wiser, a little more at peace. The stories end, but the silence continues. It stretches out like an ocean, calm and eternal, inviting you to dissolve into it, to become one with it. And as you drift, as you let go, as you finally rest, remember this. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself, knowing itself, loving itself. And that is the greatest gift. To know that you are both the wave and the ocean, the drop and the sea. To know that nothing is ever lost, because everything is always one. To know that peace is not somewhere out there. It is here, in your chest, in your breath, in the quiet pulse of your heart. The night deepens, the stars wheel overhead, and somewhere in the vast expanse of consciousness, a small light flickers. It is your light, your awareness, your true self. It has been burning all along, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to come home. And now you have. You are home. You are safe. You are loved beyond measure. And as the final words fade into silence, as the last breath of this story dissolves into the night, you are left with what was always there, pure being, pure presence, pure peace. The world continues quietly without you needing to do a thing, and all is well, all is well, all is well.